If you are setting sail to the beautiful island of Bermuda, then you need to stick around, as I'm going to share with you some great touristy spots you will want to see, some not so known spots, what I think you can avoid, and how to see it all. Hi, I'm Angela from Grab Bags Travel. Bermuda is a beautiful 21 square mile island located in the North Atlantic Ocean. When cruising to Bermuda, you can find itineraries ranging from 1 to 3 days docked at the island. There are 3 cruise ports in Bermuda that your cruise ship may dock from. The Royal Navy Dockyard, which you will find most mainstream larger cruise ships will dock at, and also the towns of Hamilton and St. George have piers that will often have the smaller luxury lines docked there. As I stated, you will often find cruise itineraries being 1 or 2 night overnight stays in Bermuda, which is basically allowing your cruise ship being a floating hotel where you could come and go and see as much as the island without having to cram everything in before your ship departs. Now, there are various ways to get around Bermuda, and I'm going to go over a little later on how you can do that. But I just want to go over now some spots that I really think you should try to see and some that I think you should consider doing as well. Bermuda is known for its pink sand beaches, and Horseshoe Bay Beach is certainly the most popular one. One of the reasons why it's the most famous is because it does have chairs and umbrellas for you to rent, as well as bathrooms, showers, and food vendors for the sunbathers' convenience. It's also an easy ride from the dockyard and is only $7 each way per person at the time of this recording. But because of its popularity and being so close to the port, it can get pretty crowded, especially when there are multiple ships at the port. Just my group alone, it took us about 30 minutes to grab some food, get some rentals, and find a spot, which we ended up being all the way down at the end. We found a spot, it was a great day, but it was a bit really crowded when we got there. Now, if you want a less crowded beach to go to, you can go nearby to Warwick Long Bay Beach. It is a stunning spot, but they don't have rentals, so you would have to either bring your own blanket to lay out on, or I have spoken to people who have brought foldable, easy to pack chairs like this one. Some other great beaches that we visited that were not as well known is Daniel's Head, which was a quiet inlet, and Sea Glass Beach, which is more just for observation rather than just hanging out. And both of these beaches are on the way to Horseshoe Bay. Now, on the north side of the island, you have Turtle Bay Beach, which is quite popular with NCL cruises, which I'll explain later, and Clearwater Beach, which is also a beautiful spot. Both beaches do have rentals and food vendors. Clearwater is not as easy to get to, but is quite doable if you're willing to put in the time and money. Now, one beach I really am not going to recommend is Snorkel Beach. Snorkel Beach is actually walking distance from the dockyard where all the cruises will be, which makes it quite convenient for cruisers and may be an option for people who are under a limited time frame and want to go to a beach. They charge $15 to enter and then an additional charge to rent umbrellas and chairs. All of the other beaches I mentioned are free to enter. This beach is a man-made beach, and considering the great number of beautiful beaches on the island, I just found this one to be really underwhelming and disappointing. Now, if you aren't a beach person, that's okay, because Bermuda has so much more for you to explore. For golf lovers, Bermuda has 8 scenic golf courses on their island. When I was doing research for my husband, I found that Port Royal and Turtle Hill Golf Club, which is located at the Fairmont Hotel, will be 2 that you may want to try considering. You can rent clubs and carts, you don't have to bring your clubs from home, and they both have incredible views. Next up, a visit to Gibbs Hill Lighthouse. Standing tall since 1846, this lighthouse offers incredible panoramic views of the entire island. I was unable to climb to the top due to my condition, but friends who did said the view is worth the 185 steps. On the way to the lighthouse, you will also cross over the world's smallest drawbridge, Somerset Bridge. Families will also love the Crystal and Fantasy Caves, where you see stalagmites and underground pools. Just note that these caves do have over 80 steps and can get quite slippery, so people with any mobility issues may have trouble climbing back up. Just keep that in mind. Another family fave is the Bermuda Zoo and Aquarium. Neither are very big, but both are fun and enjoyable to see. And right next door you have their museum, which is always interesting to walk through. I also wanted to take the time to mention that all of these spots I have mentioned so far you will see as excursions with the cruise lines. You also will find that they're pretty pricey. Again, one of the convenience of having these overnight stays and not worrying about having to rush back to the cruise ship, you can do these much cheaper independently. You can purchase tickets at the locations or pre-purchase them on their websites. Or try purchasing tickets or a small tour through Viator. I have a link in the description with some suggested excursions for you to check out. Now, staying in the vicinity of the caves and the zoo, you're going to want to try to grab a bite at the famous Swizzle Inn. This great spot, which has seating both indoors and out, is known for creating the rum swizzle drink. Now, I'm not much of a drinker, but I had to try it, and it was something. Also, don't forget to try the Wahoo Burger or Blue Hole Fish Sandwich. And after lunch or dinner, save your appetite and head over across the street to the Bailey's Ice Cream Shop for dessert. They also have dairy-free sorbet, and if you're like me and need your dairy-free, it's a great choice. One of those great spots not too many people talk about in Bermuda is actually not too far from the Swizzle Inn. It's called the Blue Hole Park. It is a free park where you can walk the trails and also swim in their grotto, and as well as going cliff diving like our group did. We are so glad we stopped there and spent some time at this park. Now, if you're enjoying any of these recommendations, please hit that like and subscribe button for more recommendations and tips. Now, the town of St. George is a UNESCO World Heritage Site located on the north end of the island. It's a walkable town with charming streets to stroll and shop and historical sites to explore like St. Peter's Church and our favorite, the Unfinished Church. Now, Hamilton is the capital of Bermuda and is a great town to explore. You can see the Bermuda Underwater Exploration Institute or shop and grab a bite along Front Street. Here's a fun fact. Did you know that Bermuda doesn't allow chain restaurants? But they do have one, the Kentucky Fried Chicken, which you will find in Hamilton. And why is that? It's because it was open before the rule became into law and they allowed it to stay open. Now, if you find yourself exploring Hamilton on a Wednesday during mid-May to end of August, you may want to consider staying at night to see Bermuda's Harbor Nights. It's a weekly summer street fair that features street vendors, local food, and cultural dances. I say if you are in town already, because I have to be frank here. My group of 23 went to Hamilton on Wednesday evening just to see the street fair because of all the people recommending it online. We were quite underwhelmed, and I think it's because it seemed so hyped every time you read about what you should do in Bermuda. So we stayed only about 30 minutes, if that long, and if you are traveling just for this from the dockyard, it can feel a bit disappointing, in my opinion. Did you go to Harbor Nights just for Harbor Nights from the dockyard, traveling either by ferry or on your own in some other way? If you did, I would love to know your experience about it. Now, if you're looking for a relaxing day at the pool away from cruisers, you can try purchasing a day pass at Cocoa Reef Resort. Simply go to the website Resort for a Day. I have a link for you in the description as well. And choose your destination, ship, and sail date. With your pass, you will get pool access as well as a 2-course lunch. Drinks are extra, and you do have to bring your own cruise line towels and find a way to get there. They do explain how you can get there from the pier on the website. Price is usually $110 per adult at the time of this recording. Now, if you feel like you don't have enough time to venture out into the island and you want to stay closer to the dockyard, there is plenty to do at the Royal Navy Dockyard. Earlier I mentioned Snorkel Beach, but there are some other things you could do along the area. For one, you could take a free trolley, which will bring you to Clock Tower Mall, where you can find shops to buy clothing, souvenirs, perfume, etc. There are also shops closer by to the ship as well for souvenirs. The National Bermuda Museum, as well as Dolphin Quest, where you can swim with the dolphins. The dockyard also has a mini golf course, and right next to the ships, you will find an inflatable water slide park. And I did see people rent jet skis and catamaran. Also for couples, don't forget to stop by the Moon Gate. Legend has it that couples who walk through hand in hand, they will find happiness. You will also find these moon gates throughout the island. And lastly, if you are feeling hungry, the Bonefish Bar and Grill is a pretty popular spot for their fish sandwiches. Now, throughout the video, I mentioned my group, and I did host a group of 25 people recently with a celebrity cruise going to Bermuda. We saw most of the things I mentioned by creating a 2-day tour with a local Bermuda tour company. Now, I'm not being sponsored by this company, but I wanted to share the information in case you too wanted to look into seeing Bermuda the way we did. The name of the company is the Bermudaful Island Tour, and I have to say they were fantastic to work with both pre-cruise and while we were on the tour with our tour guide, Mark. They do offer set tours for 3 or 4 hours, which will also allow you to have a guide to take you to place, much like we did. There are other companies and guides who you can also hire for the day instead of going everywhere independently. It's a great way to see the island. But if you do want to go independently, Bermuda is very easy to navigate on your own. They have the ferries, which you can take to Hamilton and St. George. You can use their bus system, and they have multi-day passes as well to make it more affordable. As I said earlier, they have shuttles to Horseshoe Bay, taxis, which can get pricey, or you can rent a moped or electric vehicle. Cruise lines do discourage you to do that, and be very careful considering renting those. Many accidents on those islands occur, unfortunately, due to tourists. Frankly, I advise not to do it. They ride on the opposite of the road, so be mindful of that even when crossing the streets. Lastly, if you are sailing on NCL, they have a free ferry that takes the passengers to St. George, which is why Turtle Bay is quite a popular beach for NCL cruisers. So those are my tips to Bermuda. I have loved Bermuda every time I have visited, and I hope my tips will help you love it too. Please don't forget to subscribe for more great tips and information. Happy cruising!